Hi there, Richard Fulmer here. Welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles Top 10 Songs. And today we're going to have a look at a great American band, started out in the late 60s, early 70s, talking about Grand Funk or Grand Funk Railroad as they were first known, and shortened their name a bit later. A great power trio in the early days, changed their style in the mid 70s to more of a commercial sound. They added some keyboards and what have you. Great band, many hits, and you'll see in my top 10 songs that most of the top 10, if not all of them, are from the early days, from the power trio days. That's what really resonates with me. So remember, guys, my top 10. If you have a top 10 Grand Funk, please put them down below. It'd be great to see. So this isn't an official best of or anything. It's just my own personal top 10 songs of Grand Funk. So let's jump in and see what we come up with. So coming in at number 10 is from the album Phoenix, and that was, I think, from 1972, and an instrumental called Fly to the Phoenix with some incredible keyboard work from, at that stage, a special guest, Craig Frost, on keyboards, and he would go on to join the band in a permanent position from the next album. The very first album that I ever had in my career, well, in my life, I should say, as a collector, at the tender age of 12, was Phoenix from Grand Funk, and that was the first track, Fly to the Phoenix, which really, I thought it was amazing. And you know, when you're 12 years old and you're going to look for records, it's always the covers that grab you, because you didn't really know much about music at that stage. Well, I didn't anyway, and that amazing cover just spoke to me, and from that album onwards I was hooked. So that comes in at number 10, Fly to the Phoenix. Number 9 is Into the Sun from the debut album On Time, which is quite a lengthy song with some great guitar work from Mark Farner and Don Brewer on drums, as well as Mel Schachter on bass. And that would become a great live track. They would stretch it out on that first live album. I think it goes on for at least 15 minutes, maybe longer. In fact, I think it might even be one whole side of the double album. And yeah, great track, Into the Sun. Number 8, Foot Stomping Music from E Pluribus Funk. That was the album which looked like a big coin, American dollar. Up-tempo track, also become a live staple. They had to play that track with great vocals from Mark Farner as well as guitar. Great singer as well as a guitarist. So that's at number 8. Another track from Phoenix at number 7, Rock and Roll Soul. That was the big hit off that album. Album didn't have many hits, but that was the one that became a hit off that one. Number 6, Heartbreaker from the debut On Time. That would also become quite a big hit for them. Sort of different parts of the song. Starts off, then there's like a break, and then it comes back with some really great drumming as well from Don Brewer. One of the guys who doesn't get enough recognition as far as drummers go. Really great. Speaking of which, number 5, I Come Tumbling from E Pluribus Funk. There you can hear Don Brewer's drumming in all its glory. Really, and he had a very small kit, you know, for a drummer who had so much potential and could do such a lot. When you listen to him and you don't see the drum kit, you're thinking to yourself, my God, this must have a huge kit. Very basic, a couple of floor toms, a bass drum, snare, and a couple of cymbals, and that was it. But yeah, he used them pretty well. Number 4, Paranoid from the Red album, otherwise just called Grand Funk. It was a self-titled album. Not the Black Sabbath Paranoid, this was their Paranoid. Also a great track with some great wah-wah guitar from Mark Farner. He really was a great user of the wah-wah. Also had a great harmonica. He could play harmonica really well. My top 3, from the self-titled Grand Funk, the Red album, In Need. That's also a great track with great guitar work from Mark Farner. I'm Your Captain at number 2 from Closer to Home. This was all in the early 70s. I think Closer to Home was about 1970 or 71. And this was when they were huge. I mean, they were just pulling the crowds. They sold out Shea Stadium quicker than the Beatles, which is quite a feat, I think. And so number 2 is I'm Your Captain, which became a sort of an anthem for the band. And a lot of the guys who were in Vietnam used that song, used to listen to that song, obviously wanting to go back home and what have you. Great lyrics, epic kind of track with a few different parts in it. And my number one is also from the Red album, so there's 3 tracks from that album on my top 10. The self-titled Grand Funk Inside Looking Out, which is a long track with great harmonica at the end from Mark Farner, along with guitar work. Not their track. They never wrote the song. It was actually originally done by Eric Burden and the Animals. But having listened to both versions, Grand Funk just takes it to another level. A really strong track. Starts off with just a cymbal. And Mark Farner comes in on the vocals. I think there was a very early music video that came out for that as well, long before the days of MTV. But yeah, you can check it out on YouTube as well. So then I have a couple of honorable mentions from the albums which didn't quite make my top 10. From On Time, Are You Ready, Time Machine, and TNUC, which was a drum solo from Don Brewer, which for me was always better in the live setting than on the studio. Studio was okay, but the live it really lets rip. From the Red album, Grand Funk, Highfalutin Woman, that was another good track. Closer to Home, Sin's a Good Man's Brother, and Aimless Lady, which is a cool track as well. Some nice sort of funky drum style. E Pluribus Funk, People Let's Stop the War. Obviously they're talking about Vietnam. They were very anti-Vietnam, very much a sort of peace and love and brothers and sisters kind of band, very much the people's band in those days. And a track called No Lies, that was also good. From the album Survival, All You Got Is Money and Feeling Alright, which I think was a cover. Spencer Davis Group, I think, did that track originally, Feeling Alright. Also a good version on here. From Phoenix, She Got to Move Me and The Rain Keeps Falling. That's also a cool track. Then they changed style. They went a lot more commercial, trying to crack a different market, obviously, and they had a huge lot of success with a particular album called We're an American Band. None from this era makes my top 10, which is quite strange, but I prefer the early stuff. You might like something else. So We're an American Band, the title track, Black Licorice, which I think also featured Don Brewer on vocals, great singer as well as Mark Farner, and Walk Like a Man, which was also a hit. Excuse me. Then we get to the album Shining On. The title track is great, and To Get Back In. Those are the 2 tracks from that album. And then the career started to fade a bit. They brought out an album called Born to Die, which had quite a prophetic cover when they're all lying in coffins, which, yeah, you can read into that whatever you want. The title track was great. Dues and Genevieve, which was an instrumental. I think throughout their career they did about 2 or 3 instrumentals, and this was a really good one with some great keyboard work from Craig Frost. And a track called Politician, that was also good. And the last really good album they did was called Good Singing, Good Playing, the one produced by none other than Frank Zappa. Sort of a strange combination there, Grand Funk and Frank Zappa, but I thought it worked pretty well. Just Couldn't Wait was a good track. Out to Get You, which was an instrumental, which featured some great guitar work from Frank Zappa on guest guitar. Crossfire and Release Your Love. And that was it for Grand Funk. They broke up in 76. They reformed in the 80s and they released 2 albums, which for me did absolutely nothing for their career. I think they came out at the wrong time. The music scene had totally changed and they were trying to recapture past glories, but it didn't work. So the first one was called Grand Funk Lives. Queen Bee was a good track. I think that was used on that heavy metal animated movie. That was one of the songs in the soundtrack. And a track called Good Times. And the last one from, I think, 83 or 84, if memory serves, an album called What's Funk, with probably one of the worst album covers ever. And that was a song called El Salvador, which wasn't bad. And that was it as far as Grand Funk's studio albums go. There are a number of live albums, obviously, but here we just concentrate on the studio. So yeah, those last 2 didn't work for me. I think anything from On Time right up until Good Singing, Good Playing, they all have some merit. But for me, like I said, the early stuff when they were a power trio, that was amazing. And they were really riding high at that time. They had issues with their manager, Terry Knight. I think they booted him out around the time of Phoenix, and then they just did things on their own. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Any comments down below will be great. Let me know what your top 10 Grand Funk songs are. It'll be great to see. And yeah, we'll chat soon. Have a good one. Cheers.